Hey guys, G.I. Joe here. Welcome back to the bunker in Atlanta, Georgia. Today's video is on something I'm pretty excited about. None other than, look at that, Bloodbath 1940-41 Spoils of War expansion deck. Now, this expansion deck was created by none other than Sire Blood himself. With the intent of going along, being an expansion deck, to go along with the BB7 or Bloodbath 1940, as he's calling it now, just to make the games different, right? If you've watched any of his videos lately, you'll know that he's done with the map changes. He's very happy with the state of the game right now. There are no changes in the works. So, this is a way to get the game, to throw a little bit of interest and intrigue into the game to where each game has a slightly different twist, right? So as we know, sometimes, at least in the out-of-box Axis and Allies version, one of the complaints, at least from my end, is that the game kind of becomes scripted. You know, it's the same moves all the time, and it ends up being just a matter of rolling the dice and seeing how the dice play out. But the beauty and the magic of the Bloodbath rule set that Sire Blood has developed is that there are so many options and so many different ways to win that no game ever ends up being the same. But even with that, it's cool to add an expansion deck with Spoils of War just to make even the Bloodbath game even more intriguing. So let's take a look at this box. These are for sale, by the way. So the box, I got these here actually last night. Let's see how many cards are in this box. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yeah, 30 cards. 30 cards in this box. It's a really nice box, good quality. You can see you got a QR codes on the back, Spoils of War expansion deck, QR codes that take you to the Bloodbath Discord that a lot of guys communicate on, and of course his website. You see a beautiful box here. And then these cards are nice plastic. But let's take a look at these Bloodbath expansion decks. So essentially what it is this adds a little bit of intrigue to each game. So let's take a look at how these, what some of these cards are. So Spoils of War, you can now move +1 unit from any operational railway. Ooh, that's cool. So let's take it for instance. So if I'm in India, and I'm going to use the railway from India, it says I can rail 6. Well, now I can rail +1 from India, which is 7. That's a pretty cool deck. Pretty cool thing. Spoils of War. Naval base cost is now 10 IPCs. Okay. Air base cost is now 10 IPCs. 11 units may now be produced from a major industrial complex. That's awesome. And we'll talk about how these come into play here in a minute. 4 units may now be produced from a minor complex. That's cool. Cruisers now defend at 2 on air defense. All right. So rather than, as we know in BBR, cruisers get a AAA, well, now they roll a 2 for AAA rather than a 1. Cruisers now roll up to 2 dice on coastal bombardments. That's cool. Infantry are buy 5, get 1 free. Hey, that's pretty good for Russia or China. Destroyers now have an attack value of 3. Tank cost is now 5 IPCs, and the 4 IPCs for China, because if you know in BBR, the China tanks are worth a cost of 5. So essentially, it's -1 on the cost for tanks. Naval transports are no longer required to load infantry to be fully loaded. So you can put 2 tanks, right? You don't have to have an infantry on there to be fully loaded. That's fantastic. Naval base cost is now 12 rather than 15. Same with the air base is 12 rather than 15. Fighters are now $9 rather than 10. Destroyers have a naval movement of 3. Naval bases no longer increase movement. A minor industrial complex now costs 10 rather than 12. 12 units may be produced from a major. That's cool. Battleships now defend at 2 on air defense. Same thing as that cruiser thing. And BBR battleships get a AAA for any planes flying over, and AAA, 3 AAA at 1, but now they get to defend at 2. Destroyers can perform now coastal bombardments with 1 die. That's cool. Strategic bombers are now down to 11. Submarines now defend at 2 when they're paired with a destroyer. Tactical bombers cost 10. Battleships have a movement of 3. Naval bases no longer increase movement. Strategic bombers now have a movement of 7. Air bases no longer increase movement. Oof. Same with the cruisers. Movement of 3. Naval bases no longer increase. Both Axis and Allies gain 10 IPCs from the bank. Both Axis and Allies must return 10 IPCs to the bank. And that's at the beginning of every turn. Axis and Allies gain 5 IPCs from the bank. Axis and Allies must return 5 IPCs. And then, of course, here's how the spoils of war game. All right, so now here's the rule card. So let's talk about how the spoils of war. You saw what the different spoils of war cards were. So let's talk about how to implement these into your game. All right. So spoils of war. At the beginning of the game, after the technology round, and that's important, okay, because you need to pick your technology before you draw the spoils of war cards. Therefore, your technology is not being selected based upon the spoils of war cards, if that makes sense. So technology is chosen first, placed face down, okay, as described on page 23 of the Bloodbath rulebook. Then you're going to draw 5 cards and place them face up in order drawn. These rules are now in effect for the entire game for all nations. Okay, this is important here. Cards that have to do with plus or minus IPC or facilities overwrite each other. For example, if 5 IPCs is drawn and the negative 10 IPCs is drawn, the negative 10 is placed over the plus 5, if that makes sense. Cards that have to do with plus or minus IPCs are used at the top of every round. France and China may not deduct or receive IPCs. And then if cards get overwritten, continue to draw cards until there are 5 cards in play. All right, so let's see how this would work. So for instance, let's say we're going to draw cards. We'll shuffle this up, and then we're going to place 1. Okay, so right off the bat, 2. All right, so this overrides this. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so let's see how this would work. So this says that both Axis and Allies must return 10 IPCs to the bank. Now, that's for the Axis turn. I mean, the whole Axis team. So it's not like 10 IPCs per Axis nation. Like Germany doesn't have to do 10, and Japan, and Italy. It means that the whole Axis side has to give up 10 IPCs, and you can do that multiple ways. You can either do it to where if Germany's like, you know what, I'm cool, I got tons of money, I don't need this $10. I'll pay for the $10 this time. And then maybe the next round, everybody needs some money, so maybe, Italy says, I'll pay $1 towards it. Japan says, I'll pay $3 towards it. And then Germany says, all right, I'll pick up the rest of the 6. So you can make that happen any way you want. But since this was drawn second, this cancels this out. That's overridden. And then we have to draw another card because you have to have 5 cards in play. So we're going to draw another card. So this one's out now. 1, 2. You can now move +1 from an operational railway. Naval bases cost 10. Air bases cost 10. And 11 units can be produced from a major complex. So now these 5 are in play. None of them cancel each other out. So these cards are in play, if that makes sense. Now, had we done this, let's say we had done this. Let's say we drew this first, that each side gets $5, and you can determine each turn who's going to get the $5. Okay, is it going to be UK this turn, or are you going to give $1 to the United States and $4 to Commonwealth? However you want to make that happen. Let's say that we drew this, and then we drew this. This overrides this because it's a plus or minus, so now this goes away, And then we draw another card because we have to have 5 in play. All right. Now this says 4 units may be produced from a minor. None of these counteract each other. So all these 5 cards would be in play. So anyways, and this is done at the beginning of the game, and every nation on the board gets to use these. Okay. So hopefully that explains the Spoils of War deck from Sire Blood. And these are for sale. You can send $35. That does include shipping. Shipping's like $10 a box. It's crazy. That's the cheapest the shipping can go. So if you were in the continental U.S., not Hawaii, if you're in the continental U.S., the lower 48, you can order these through sireblood.com. I'm sorry, sireblood@yahoo.com. Send it to him through PayPal, sireblood@yahoo.com. Friends and family only, please. $35, that covers the box, the cards, and the $10 shipping fee. So check it out. You can see a link in the description, or at least reminder in the description on how to purchase these. So get your box today, guys. This way you can easily make each one of your games that you play with Bloodbath a different experience. And I mean, the combinations are endless. Chances are you're rarely, if ever, going to end up with the same 5 card combinations, which means every game is going to have a slight different twist than any other game you've ever played. So enjoy your Spoils of War deck and get yours today.